Speculation about release. Despite his remand, some media reports and commentary have speculated about the possibility that Magaya might be moved, released, or have his conditions changed. The reasons for this speculation include the fact that his wife and bodyguard were released on bail while he remains detained. Reports that his prison conduct is receiving attention. For example, one article states that Magaya in Harare Remand Prison is praying for inmates and providing bail money to some inmates, which some interpret as image management or influence building inside detention. Public interest, given his high-profile status and large following, any suggestion he might be released draws attention. However, as of the latest available reports, there is no confirmed release of Magaya. His bail application has not been granted for the rape charge, and the court has ruled that only the High Court may consider bail, movement, or transfer from facility. One specific question is whether Magaya has been moved from where he was initially remanded, or whether unusual arrangements apply. Some commentary suggests that he may have special conditions or privileges. However, I found no verifiable official source confirming a transfer to a different facility or conditional supervision outside standard remand. On the contrary, reports state he remains in custody. Legal and procedural issues. Over detention argument, Magaya's defense argued he was held beyond the 48-hour limit prescribed under Section 50 of the Zimbabwe Constitution, i.e., arrest followed by appearance before a court or release within 48 hours. Magistrate Gofa acknowledged the over-detention but held that such a breach does not automatically warrant release and that the remedy lies in civil proceedings in the Constitutional Court for damages, not immediate release. This raises questions about procedural safeguards and rights of the accused, especially in high-profile cases, and whether the enforcement of detention limits is effective. Bail jurisdiction and third schedule offenses. Under Zimbabwean law, certain serious offenses, third schedule, require bail applications at the High Court level, not magistrates' courts. The rape charges Magaya faces fall under that category. Magistrate Gofa accordingly refused to entertain bail and directed the matter to the High Court for the fraud charges. His legal team has indicated they will apply for bail at the High Court rather than at the Magistrates' Court. This bifurcation complicates the timetable and introduces delay, meaning Magaya may remain in remand longer than some other accused. Public order, flight risk, interference with witnesses. In granting bail to Tendai Magaya and the bodyguard, courts emphasized factors such as not being flight risks, adequate bail conditions, passport surrender, reporting, residence, and the state's inability to show compelling reasons to deny bail at this stage. By contrast, the state opposed bail for Magaya on the grounds of the seriousness of the offenses, the risk of interfering with witnesses, and the need to ensure justice. The court accepted these concerns in remanding him. Controversies and public reactions, celebrity clergy status, and perceptions of favoritism. As a high-profile religious leader, Magaya enjoys a large following and significant resources. Some commentators suggest his status could lead to special treatment, either undue leniency or preferential conditions. The reports that he is able to assist fellow inmates while in remand have prompted questions whether he is being allowed privileges unavailable to typical detainees. See the Zimai article about his prison ministry. Such perceptions feed into public skepticism about equality before the law and whether influential figures can escape accountability. Victims, witnesses, and institutional trust in fraud and sexual offense cases. Witness protection is critical. The state has publicly released contact numbers for victims to report related crimes. However, Given Magaya's influence, there are concerns about intimidation of witnesses, undue influence, and the impact on the willingness of complainants to come forward. The bail conditions emphasize non-interference with witnesses, media speculation, and narrative control. Because of Magaya's large following and business religious network, the story has been subject to heavy media and social media attention. Some of this attention has spread rumors about his release or transfer, which may or may not be grounded in fact. The absence of official confirmation of any special movement or release, while rumors persist, contributes to confusion and distrust. For example, a Reddit thread speculated, "Finally, he was already outed for sexual abuse long ago. I was disgusted by the fact that he still had hordes of congregants after that came to light." Such user commentary shows how the story resonates with broader tensions around religious leadership and accountability in Zimbabwe. Why the release question matters. Rule of law and accountability. At its core, the dispute about Magaya's possible release or special treatment touches on fundamental questions. Are powerful individuals treated under the same rules as everyone else? Does the influence of wealth, religion, or celebrity undermine the fairness of the criminal justice system? The fact that his wife and bodyguard were granted bail while he remains detained may reflect justifiable legal distinctions, but to the public, it can also look like differential treatment. Public trust in religious and business institutions. Magaya's ministry blends religious authority with business ventures, land, housing projects, investment schemes. When allegations of fraud emerge from such ventures, the combination of faith, money, and influence raises particular risks of exploitation. Public confidence in both religious institutions and investment projects can be affected. The handling of his detention, release prospects, and bail conditions becomes symbolic of how the state addresses such hybrid religious business actors. Precedent for high-profile cases. The case may set a precedent in Zimbabwe for how influential religious leaders charged with serious offenses are dealt with, whether they are remanded, bail granted, or released under special conditions. The state's public release of hotline numbers for victims suggests a move towards stronger, more transparent action in such cases. How this case proceeds, including any release or transfer, will likely be scrutinized for signs of fairness or privilege. Given the facts, several possible scenarios can unfold. He remains in remand until the High Court hears his bail application. This is consistent with current proceedings. Any shift, such as bail being granted, will come from the High Court given the nature of the charges. Bail is granted under strict conditions. Although the magistrate dismissed bail at the lower court, the High Court might grant bail if convinced that conditions, passport surrender, regular check-ins, non-interference with witnesses, address risk of flight and interference. This could lead to his release, but with heavy constraints and public scrutiny, release on special alternative conditions, house arrest, monitored release, etc. While there is no official indication yet of this, some rumors may point toward movement or special arrangements. If this happens, transparency around conditions and how they compare to other accused will be critical for public trust. Prolonged remand or conviction without release. Given the seriousness of the offenses, rape, fraud, and public interest, the system may keep Magaya in custody until trial. Delays and adjournments will raise concerns about justice's pace and fairness. As of 10 November 2025, Walter Magaya remains in custody, remanded by a Harare magistrate on serious charges of fraud and rape. His application for immediate release was dismissed. Bail for certain charges must be sought in the High Court. Though his wife and bodyguard have been granted bail under conditions, Magaya himself has not been released. Speculation about his possible release, transfer, or special treatment remains just that, speculation, given the absence of a credible official statement indicating otherwise. The significance of this case goes beyond Magaya. It reflects broader challenges in Zimbabwe, balancing the rights of the accused with public expectations of accountability, ensuring that influential figures do not receive undue privileges, protecting victims and witnesses in complex, high-profile cases, and maintaining institutional integrity in the face of power, religion, and money. The next few weeks and months, specifically how the High Court handles the bail application or whether any transfer or conditional release occurs, will be critical to how this story is judged in the public eye. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe.